So, you have a Q&A idea for me?
Yes, sir, I do. It's with YouTuber Ryan George.
So it's basically just a way for us to meet more celebrities?
Oh, wow.
Wow, Ryan George is tight. Well then, without further ado, we bring you Ryan George. My name is Zack, and I'm here with my Vice President, Jared Benjamin, and Jacob Shiner. We can't wait to meet you, Ryan, and hear all about your story. So, to kick us off, Ryan, can you tell us a little bit about your background, where you're from, and how you got involved with comedy and YouTube?
Sure, great job on that intro. I was half expecting it, but you did a good version. That's basically my life, is people being like, wow. So yeah, I'm Ryan. I'm from Montreal, born and raised, and I've been doing YouTube stuff since YouTube has existed, pretty much, which ages me quite a bit. I started making videos when I was 12 or 13, and I just never stopped. And I've been doing it as a job for the past 3-4 years. But before that, when I had other jobs, I was still doing YouTube stuff. Nobody was watching. But
You were watching.
Well, a couple people were, not too many. And that's pretty much it. So my job is that I talk to myself in my basement in front of a green screen, and that's about it.
Did you major in YouTube in college? How did that just come about?
YouTube, yeah, the YouTube major. I did communication studies at Concordia University up here in Montreal, with a specialization in film production. But it was at a weird. I think today in university, if you do media, you probably learn a lot about YouTube. But it was a weird moment where people were like, "What's this new YouTube thing?" So I literally was making films on actual film, getting it developed and stuff. It's a very expensive process. And even our cameras were mini DV cameras and stuff. It's but at the same time I was working on YouTube, so I was learning all that stuff by myself and with my friends and stuff. So kind of self-taught on YouTube, but definitely studied film and stuff like that. Yeah. So
Pretty cool. I mean, it's pretty crazy how different it is now. I feel like if you were to try and go into something like this.
Yeah, I don't even know how. I don't. If you go into film in university, I don't know if they must prepare you now for the digital landscape, but that's not what it was 10 years ago for sure.
So, how did you end up getting involved with Screen Rant and everything? And what's the story behind your famous pitch meetings? Who came up with the idea for the skit and all the catchphrases? Is everything there? Is that all you?
Yeah, that's just me writing in my basement. Basically, the story of me starting at Screen Rant is. It's funny because it's so not interesting. I literally got a message on LinkedIn one day, and they were kind of just looking for someone in Montreal that had experience on YouTube. And there's not a big pool of YouTubers in Montreal. It's not like Los Angeles or I imagine New York. There's probably a lot of creators, but I don't know. It was probably a pretty short list, and they reached out, and basically I was doing news videos for the first year or so. They have the Screen Rant YouTube channel, but then they also have a Screen Rant news website. And I was just making videos for that. Anytime there was a big news story, I would make a little video. But they always knew that I was a comedy guy, so they were like, "Look, as long as you present the news story, you do whatever you want. Just do anything." I was like, "Are you serious?" So I was just I would do whatever. If someone got cast in a movie, I would okay, I'm going to talk about that, but here's a weird editing thing that I'm also going to do. And then eventually I kind of jumped over to the YouTube side of Screen Rant, and I was doing kind of on-screen hosting kind of stuff, 5 things you didn't know about whatever this movie, that kind of thing. But again, they were just make it do whatever you want, make it funny. I was also doing just straight up voiceovers for their longer videos. They would just send me scripts, and I would just like if you go back a couple years on Screen Rant, you'll hear me voicing like top 10 videos and whatnot. And then simultaneously, I was kind of building up my own channel where it was sketches where I talked to myself. I had like a couple thousand subscribers. And then one day they kind of wanted to explore new content formats on Screen Rant, and they asked me if I had anything I wanted to try out. And I had done like a 30-second pitch meeting for Justice League on my own channel. Funny enough, because that like a new version just came out last week. And like I did a pitch meeting for the Snyder Cut, and it's like trending on YouTube now. But that's how it all started.
Wow.
So it's kind of weird.
Full circle.
Yeah, it's crazy. So so I did like a first pitch meeting for Justice League, and like I kind of cringe if I see it now because like it's totally not the style that I do anymore. It's very like deadpan and stuff, but it did well. So they're like, all right, make another one. And then The Last Jedi came out around that time, and like people did not like that movie, so my pitch meeting did pretty well also. And so because I had like 2 pitch meetings back to back that did pretty well, they're like, all right, you want to do 2 a week? I was like, oh my God, okay. And now like 3 years later, I'm still doing it. I only do 1 a week now, but, and yeah, the inspiration was like, my favorite comedian is John Mulaney. I'm sure like that's a lot of people have that same answer. I'm seeing a lot of heads like, yep. And I think it's in The Comeback Kid. He has a bit about how weird it must have been to sell Back to the Future, because there are elements of that movie that like everyone's familiar with and we all just kind of accepted, but if you say them out loud without knowing what Back to the Future is, you'd be like, what? And like someone had to do that for the first time. So it just got me thinking of like every movie has those moments where you just like things happen so fast that you're just like, oh, that okay, got it, move on, and like you don't go back and think about it, you know. And I just kind of like merged that with my videos where I was already talking to myself, and that's kind of like how that came to be. Yeah, all because of Mulaney.
Right now, your #1 pitch meeting video with about 5 million views is for Endgame. But Schiffer Lindenberg asked a question. She wants to know, what personally is your favorite pitch meeting that you've done?
Oh, that's interesting. I thought Game of Thrones was my most pop, but I guess Endgame makes sense too. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's probably a tie between the Game of Thrones season 8 pitch meeting, just because like it was kind of like a catharsis of like how angry I was at that show, and I think everyone was pretty mad at that too. So it felt good to just be like, guys, come on, like what? I could have made that video like 20 minutes long. Like I was cutting things, so I was like, I couldn't find good things to say. And then my other favorite is probably Cats, which I don't know if anyone's seen the movie here, but it's like, it's so bad, but in a way that it's like, it's not even fun to watch. It's not like The Room or something, you know, where you watch and you're like, oh, this is just so
like cringy.
Bad. Yeah, it's cringy, and it like, if you try to focus on the story, you can't, because it doesn't make sense. The story is, if anyone hasn't seen the movie or the pitch meeting, it's just like a multi-hour musical where cats introduce themselves, and they each have like a different personality, and they're all trying to compete to see which one of them is the most jellicle. Angelical is a word that doesn't exist, and they never explain what it means. And so, like, at the end of the movie, there's something called the Jellicle Ball, and they're going to choose one cat who's the most jellicle, and the prize is that cat dies. It's just like...
It gets terrible.
Isn't it based on the Broadway show, though? Like,
it is.
Like, do they make up the word jellicle, or did the Broadway show?
The Broadway show did. And my girlfriend had seen the Broadway show, and she's like, yeah, the Broadway show doesn't make sense either. Like, it's just, but it makes a little more, like, it's okay to see someone, like, on a Broadway stage jump out and dance and talk about themselves, and then you never see them again. But in a movie, you kind of, like, you're looking for a story a little bit. Yeah, it was so weird. It was so weird, and just like weirdly sexual, but like it's just like a person's face on a cat. Ugh. So yeah, I think like my favorite. Yeah, that was probably my favorite because I was just processing what I saw. I'm like, what the hell does Jellicle mean? Anyway.
I'm glad that you didn't like the Game of Thrones one because I couldn't deal with the ending.
Oh God,
bothered me for months.
I know. I mean, yeah, I think when people are angry at movies and TV shows, that's when my videos do the best.
Have you seen the Star Wars Holiday Special?
I did, yeah. I did a pitch meeting for that, and
One of my favorite ones.
Thank you. It's insane, that movie. Like, I don't know. I feel like they didn't know what Star Wars was yet. So they were just like, yeah, people love Luke Skywalker. Let's have him show up covered in makeup. Let's just follow a family of Wookiees as they celebrate Life Day. It's so weird. It's so weird.
Okay, fine. So on a different note, but you kind of touched on this earlier with your older videos that you think we didn't notice, but we noticed. So we're also big Lonely Island fans, and Jared and I, one of our favorite songs is actually Sax Man. And
Yeah.
we happen to know, like, I didn't even like realize it until like after. It was like, wait a second, this is on Ryan George's channel. Like, how did you get involved with Lonely Island and Jack Black, and like, what's the story behind this?
It's once again, it's not a very interesting story because I have no involvement with those guys whatsoever. I was just also a really big fan, and I basically I was playing around with video editing software, and I had this idea like, if I could like take an image and just cut out the mouth and then lip sync words, I could make kind of like a weird style music video. And so I was just like playing around with software. I had no idea that it was going to get like 5 million views, or I would have put more time into it. It was literally like an afternoon, like, burr, burr, burr. Like there's like weird lighting on my mouth. Everyone's like, is that poop? Yeah, it's so strange. And like years later, I'm pretty sure I misinterpreted what the joke of the song was. I'm pretty sure the joke is that it's like a baby who's trying to play the saxophone, and I like made him a middle-aged guy. I'm just like, anyway, it had so many views that honestly I literally just kept it on my channel because I was like, well, this looks good for my stats, I guess.
Wait,
But I'm just like, I have nothing to do with them, and I don't think I did a good job. And it's just that weird thing that's on my channel from like 12 years ago. But,
so they just made the song, and then you just made a video on the song.
yeah, they put out they had this whole album that came out when SNL digital shorts were really big. They had this album called Incredibad in 2009, and like a lot of the songs were kind of like things that were on SNL and that were really popular. But they had a couple of like little weird ones, and I was like, well, I'm gonna play around with one of these. Like it was one of my favorites, and people didn't seem to know it, so I was like, I'll just put it on YouTube and see what happens. And yeah, I no, they never made a video for it, and nobody else seems to have. So if you look up The Lonely Island, that's just like one of the videos that pops up, and it's, I don't know, it just happens to be on my channel. It's weird.
It's a top video. It's a top video for sure. It's also the song is just, I don't know. Jack Black just makes you crack up, you know, like I don't know. Have you ever seen it? You know, he plays like the saxoboom. It's like a children's instrument or something. There's like a video of him on Fallon, and he plays it, and he's like fantastic.
He's so good.
Hysterical.
I don't know, and he like swears too when he's about to perform. Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Sorry, I don't know if I can swear on your Q&A thing. Yeah, so I love Jack Black. He's so pure. I'm just like following him on TikTok, and he just does like, he's just having fun, and it's so wholesome. It's so fun to watch. He's just jumping out of his pool in a Speedo and editing himself into like Thor as he sings. It's really, seems like a good guy.
Definitely. Okay, so the next question is also a little bit on a different note, but I don't know. I guess these are all kind of in the same ballpark. So when you film a video, I feel like I kind of think I know the answer, but when you film a video and you switch between obviously different characters with different outfits, the person wants to know if you do all the lines for one character in one costume and then change, or you do all the lines sequentially back and forth, because I guess it would be easier on you if you knew like what you were saying, but also be much easier if you didn't have to change costumes every 15 seconds also.
Yeah, I don't change costumes. I do every single line, and then I change, and then I do every other line. Because in a pitch meeting video, there's probably like 80 or 90 lines per character. It's like really fast paced. So if I had to change costumes 80 times, I would be there for like 4 days. But if I just do all the lines back to back, it's like, it takes me like 20, 30 minutes to shoot a pitch meeting. And then in editing, I just like chop it up and I drag and drop, and it's really fast. So.
Do you do a lot of like practice runs before you go?
No, I literally like, I just, first of all, I'm sitting because my basement is only like 6'2" and I'm 6 feet. So I need to sit. And then I just like try to make it seem like I'm standing. I just sit there with my phone, with my script on my phone, and I literally just run through the lines. And like if I kind of know by now, like if I got it or I didn't get it. So when I feel like, okay, yeah, that's the one, then I just move on to the next line, and I just like keep working through that way until I feel like I have it. That's why I kind of also need to be the editor on these things, because like I know like, oh yeah, the third take is the best one, so I can just go in and grab it. You know, it's so that's kind of the process.
So that was actually my question, and I knew the answer, but I still wanted it to be asked. Moving on, how do you come up with your catchphrases that you use in your videos?
It's like nothing has been really intentionally a catchphrase. I think in the very first pitch meeting I did, the 30-second one, I said "super easy, barely an inconvenience" twice, and so the comment section was like, "Yeah!" That's all they were saying. So I was like, "Well, okay, I'm gonna have to say it again." And then probably in the first ones, I don't think I said anything was tight. But then when I said something was tight, people were like, "Oh!" Like I just kind of like, I see the top comments, and if people are like really responding to a line, I'm like, "Oh, I guess I'll bring that back." But the problem is like, it have like so many catchphrases now, and I'm just like, okay. It's kind of helpful in the writing process, because I could just be like, okay, I don't have anything to say here, so I'm going to say wow, 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 and it'll get a laugh, and then I can just move on to the next line. So it's kind of like, it's a little helpful in that sense.
Yeah, we definitely appreciate it every single time.
Thanks. At least I can mix it up a little bit and be like, you don't know exactly what I'm going to say, but then like, I'm going to say it. Yeah.
I was going to say this towards the end, but I guess this is an important question because a lot of people are debating this. But David Schwartzman asked in the group chat, what do you like better, Infinity War or Endgame, and why?
Oh, man, good question. I don't even know that I've ever thought of that, but let me try to think of it right now.
We debate this all the time. Like,
there's a lot of writing on this.
I'm like, this is going to follow me for the rest of my life. I hope there's not a right answer and a wrong answer.
Or it's a different Marvel movie, but like, I'm assuming it's not.
I guess maybe like Infinity War, in a sense, just because like the shocking ending was such a like they're gonna come back, and like Endgame was all about like, oh, how are they gonna explain how they come back? But like Infinity War was like, when it ended, you're like, oh my god, that character's dead for a little bit, that character's dead for a little bit. It was pretty shocking, like, and movies don't tend to, like, in terms of cliffhangers, that was a big one. Like, everything's gonna be okay, but it was still, like, sometimes you go and like watch on YouTube, you could see people like filming in the theaters, the audience reactions of like seeing it in theaters for the first time, and like the shock is so like, it all of a sudden shivers down my spine, because like, yeah, that was a big moment. It's so silly because they're all coming back and we all know it, but
I cried when Spider-Man died. I didn't cry in Endgame I didn't cry, but in Infinity War I cried when Spider-Man died.
Yeah, it's so touching. It's like they already announced the next Spider-Man movie, so it's gonna be okay. But it was still very touching. He's like the bond, him and Iron Man. Yeah. So, but I could easily be persuaded that Endgame is better. So don't. That's my initial response. There's a lot of great stuff in Endgame.
I could spend the next 40 minutes trying to convince you that Endgame is better.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it for the sake of the other question.
You can probably convince me.
When Tony dies is the only time that Peter calls him anything other than Mr. Stark.
That's good writing.
He starts crying. He's like, "No, Tony," and then he dies. And like, he's not Mr. Stark. He's literally his dad.
Yeah, it's rough. No, yeah, it's heart wrenching. Definitely. I really like Endgame too. Yeah, I don't know. It's tough. I could see why you guys debate this nonstop, like for sure.
Zach actually wrote a paper for our school newspaper about why Infinity War is better.
Really?
Got a lot of hate. There were some rebuttals.
Yeah, okay.
I'm sure.
That's what you want to think.
It's a tough question. I'm gonna think about it all night. I'm gonna be like, did I mess that up?
Good.
Okay.
There's a new pitch meeting idea for a pitch meeting about what's better, Infinity War or Endgame.
Yeah. We'll do that for episode 300.
Would you say Infinity War would be your favorite MCU movie then, or you have a different favorite movie out of all the others?
Yeah, I don't know. I really liked Winter Soldier. I thought I felt like that was like a turning point for the MCU when it was like before, like pre-Winter Soldier was kind of like, oh yeah, it's fun, it's cool. But that was like, oh, this can be like serious too. Everything else was like had a little bit of camp to it, but that one was like, it was like a political thriller, and that's when I feel like they kind of were like, yeah, we could do like any genre. Like we're just gonna, it'll be a horror movie, but it'll be Marvel or anything like they.
Yeah, they've done a lot. Ant-Man is a heist film. I think Doctor Strange 2 is supposed to be a horror film, even like you said. Like
that's what I've heard.
They're trying anything. I mean, WandaVision is clearly very, very different. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so like, yeah, I think it's really cool that they try new things, and I think that Winter Soldier was probably the turning point for that. Yeah.
Okay, so the next question is on a totally different tangent, but the question is, a lot of people like really hate hearing their own voice. So do you rewatch your videos, and do you like watching them? And like, does it embarrass you when people play your own videos around you and like use your own phrases and all the time? Like you said that people always say like, wow, 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 whenever they see you.
Yeah. I feel okay hearing my own voice in videos now because I feel like that's not me. Those characters are just like so over the top that it's not even like, it's like I'm editing somebody else. I think the further back you go into my videos, I think I'm less comfortable because I'm less of an over the top character. Yeah, I don't like listening to my actual voice in like something like this. Like if I rewatch it, I'll be like, that's what, dude, you sound weird. And yeah, when people play my videos in front of me, it's so uncomfortable. It's so uncomfortable. That happens it's happened in my girlfriend's family. And they mostly only speak French, so they don't really understand. And so it's just this weird silence where I'm like, "Duh," and they're like, okay. It's so uncomfortable. And then, yeah, I don't really rewatch my videos unless I need to go back and check what I said in a previous one to make sure I'm not contradicting it. I'll usually I'll finish a video, I'll watch it 10, 20 times to make sure that nothing's wrong with it. And then I just kind of file it away and I don't think about it anymore or watch it. Just work on the next thing. Don't look back.
Do you speak French?
Yeah. Yeah, I went to French school my whole life. Well, not university, but elementary school, high school, and my girlfriend's French. And yeah, that's kind of life here in Montreal.
French.
Sorry?
Je français aussi. Je savais pas que vous parlez français.
Ah oui, je parle français. Pourquoi tu parles français?
Ma mère est marocaine.
Ah, ok. Intéressant. That's
right.
Cool.
I have no idea.
Back to English for everybody else. So.
Yeah, sorry everyone. That was me and Jacob. We had a moment.
So, how do you do the special effects in some of your videos other than green screen? For instance, like in your first guy to ever make a commercial video, take us through what were some of the things you did in that one, or anyone that comes to mind that you did anything unique.
Yeah, I'll kind of I'm not really good with special effects or anything like that, but I'll do like I'll play a lot with layers in Adobe Premiere, and I'll play around with Photoshop a lot, and I'll kind of like technically, if I were to be doing it well, I would do it all in like Adobe After Effects and stuff. But I'm like, part of me is just too lazy, so I'll just kind of like I'll just play with layers. Like if a character needs a camera in front of them, then it'll be like a layer of a camera just that I've outlined in Photoshop and stuff like that. But sometimes I'll have like explosions or weird stuff, and those are usually just like you can find like pre-made elements. You could buy them, or you can there are some free ones. So if there's like an explosion or a fire. It's someone said not Filmora. It's actually I'm surprised by Filmora. You can actually do pretty much everything that I do in Premiere. I just did an ad for Filmora, which is pretty funny. So yeah, it's pretty much just if I have to do like motion tracking, then I'll use After Effects. But other than that, I'm just like, if you saw my software, like my projects, there's like 20 layers sometimes, depending on like what weird effect I'm attempting to do. Or sometimes I'll just like, if I don't feel like making a t-shirt in real life, I'll just wear a t-shirt with like a cross on it, and then I'll track whatever I want onto it, and that's just like a subtle special effect. But yeah, that's pretty. I can see the chat. Someone's straight up quoting my ad that I did last week. That's so funny.
When you did like your arm broke in the previous couple of weeks ago, I think it was. That was like he used one of these special effects.
Yeah, that was I did that in After Effects. I had a shirt that has a lot of pineapples on it, and so I took like a screenshot of myself like with my arm like this, and then in Photoshop I did a cutout and I tilted my arm, and then I tracked to one of the pineapples. So it kind of like moved with my arm, but I actually like the first cut of that sketch. The entire time the arm was dangling, and I rewatched it right before publishing, and I was like, this is really gross. And so I kind of like zoomed in for the whole short because it was making me uncomfortable. I knew that people clicked on that video a bit less because in the thumbnail the guy just has like a broken arm. You clicked on it?
I mean, I watched it. I thought it was great.
Well, thank you. But I can see my mom wouldn't have clicked on that video because the guy has like 2 elbows. So yeah. So it's pretty much like whenever I have an idea in a sketch that calls for something special, I'll just kind of figure out how to do it after the fact. Sometimes I like shoot something and I get into editing and I'm like, how do I do this? And I like look up YouTube tutorials, or I just mess around for hours and I try to figure it out. But yeah, sometimes I break myself into some corners that that are difficult to get out of. Yeah.
So this is a question from Alicia Rosenzweig. How do you make every video fresh and avoid falling into a creative rut?
That's a good question. Yeah, I think about that a lot. Like it seems like at first I thought it was weird that I've done so many episodes of Pitch Meeting, but like people still come to watch. I was like, sometimes people are like, it's just the same thing, but it's like I think it's really just a format, and then within the 6 minutes I can just throw in just any jokes that relate to that specific movie. So like it's, even if you're familiar with the format and I do repeat some catchphrases, like I think people don't really know what to expect, and I could still do, because every movie is different, every pitch meeting is different. So so for pitch meetings it's I would say pretty easy, but I'll say super easy to keep it fresh. And for my own sketches, it's I'm like, I have like a First Guy series on my own channel, and I'm hoping that ends up being the same thing, that it doesn't end up being too repetitive. But I'm always thinking of that, of like right now, my last 2 videos were both First Guy videos, and I'm like, I should probably switch it up. It's been 2 in a row, so I need to come up with something different now. But I like, it's probably not the end of the world if I do another First Guy, but it's just, it's definitely something that I'm always thinking of.
Well, randomly, you did that Bernie Sanders meme one. Like that one wasn't part of a series, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because on my own channel, I just do whatever pretty much. And like if something comes to mind and it works, and it's not about movies and TV, because that's what I do on Screen Rant, then I'll just like, it's whatever. Like some things won't age too well because they're about such specific moments in time. But yeah, like I have like a bunch of 2020 content that we're gonna, like, if you watch it in a couple of years, you'll be like, oh, it was exaggerating a bit, or like, or you won't get all the context or whatever.
You had a video called "This Will Not Age Well."
Yeah, exactly. That's like specifically, I was like, I'm trying to react to things that are happening in the moment, so I'm just gonna make sure that this doesn't age well. And I just started talking like, oh yeah, the year was great. There were no natural disasters at all, and stuff like that. Yeah, but that's the big challenge, is trying to keep it fresh and trying to, like, the hardest part is coming up with ideas. So pitch meeting is great because I don't really have to come up with an idea. I just like, I'm targeting this movie this week, and everything's that way. But on my own channel, it's really like, I often find myself where I'm like, I'm trying to think of a video idea and nothing's coming, and I'll go on long walks and try to think of something, and there's like a voice in my head that's like, you know why you can't think of anything? Because you've already had your good ideas and now you're done. Like this. I was like, no. But yeah, it's tough. But yeah, someone said asking Twitter for good ideas is tight. Yeah, I could ask people for ideas, but it's kind of like a pride thing that I just want to do it myself, I guess. like every video, I get a comment of someone who's like, first guy to ever drink milk. And I'm like, the fact that everybody suggests that makes me not want to do it.
So, that's like an interesting idea, though. I would watch that for sure.
It's like, yeah, but I've also seen it so many times that I've even done a video about that in the past, of like, I had a series on my other channel with my friends called Explaining to an Alien, and they're like, they have to explain milk to an alien, and it's hard to do because it's very weird that humans do that. The alien's like, you drink milk of what? Oh, yeah.
Okay, so the next question is from Neshama Fournier. I'm not exactly sure. I'll try to do my best, like French, over there. Fournier. And also I see in the comments that Nachi Fleischacker asked the same question. Has doing the pitch meetings, like, kind of ruined watching movies for you? Like, the only way you can watch movies is trying to think of things to, like, talk about in the pitch meetings, or you can go through movies and be like, oh, I like that movie. I don't really want to, delve into it.
Yeah, it has kind of like changed how I watch movies in a certain way. I really have to disconnect hard to watch a movie. But I'm also like, every week I have to watch a movie for pitch meetings, so like I don't really sit down and watch movies for fun that often. But when I do, there's definitely like, I'm paying attention in a different way. I'm like looking for faults, so it's hard to enjoy them sometimes. But yeah, like my girlfriend and I, every year we watch all the Best Picture nominees. So I'm gonna try to like shut my brain off and just enjoy them. But it's hard. It's definitely hard. I'm just like, I'm always looking. One thing that helps is that often when I'm watching a movie for a pitch meeting, I like to watch it at a faster speed. Like I'll watch it at like 1.3, 1.4 times its normal speed. Just because it kind of heightens the ridiculousness and it's over faster. So it's like less work and more just like, you just see the plot points like, like you don't have time, like all the little tricks that movies do to make you accept those moments of like the touching music and stuff. It's all a little silly because it's going faster. So that's kind of like a trick.
That one of the things that I feel like, I don't know, it was in the WandaVision pitch meeting, you talked about the Jimmy Woo close-up magic. And that's something that like went by in a second, but the internet exploded about it. So it's not like you could have really missed it even if you wanted to.
Exactly, yeah. And I'm not I'm not just like watching a movie and taking notes and making my video. I spend like the longest part of my pitch meeting process is I read every single article. I read like I'm on Reddit. I'm watching reviews. I'm just like trying to get my finger on the pulse of how people feel about this movie and what moments what are people angry about a certain moment, and then like how can I deconstruct that moment and turn it into a joke as like an explanation for like why that was that way, and it's usually like a bad idea that the screenwriter guy had, and the producer guy's like, yeah, that's perfect, so yeah, I really like I do a lot of research for every episode. So yeah, the Jimmy Woo card thing, like I saw all the memes. I was like, people are hyped about this. So I'm like, obviously, like I'm so proud of him.
The number one character arc in the MCU, no question.
Yeah, exactly. Like I was happy for him. Like, oh, that's such a nice little tidbit, but he did it,
Yeah. So you had a video on your personal channel. It was like a VR game about Canada, and like there's two parts of the winter part where all you do is shovel snow, and the summer part that lasts like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
In general, do you feel like there's certain jokes that may be Canada centric that you are afraid to use because you're afraid your American audience won't get it?
That's a good question. Yeah, I feel like I was questioning that video because I was kind of like, is this just such a Canadian thing? But then that was kind of the point. Like, if people don't know that, like, people don't live in areas where it snows so much, then it's a funny tidbit that, like I do have to shovel my car out in the winter. It takes so long, and it sucks. Into a store, like they need to greet you in French before they greet you in English over here, and the signs need to be like it needs to be in French and in a bigger font first, and like stuff like that like I would gladly poke fun at, but it's so specific that like people be like, what the hell is this guy talking about? So yeah, I kind of and I don't do like French stuff, even though I could do French stuff.
Yeah. And make a personal channel for just me and you, I guess.
Yeah, I'll just send you some private videos. Like, oh, yeah.
Which cool / famous people have you met as a result of your YouTube channel?
That's a good question. I haven't I feel like my channel and pitch meetings have really kind of at least my personal channel has really taken off during the pandemic, so I haven't had the chance to meet people in person, but I've had cool interactions on Twitter and stuff. Like I did a pitch meeting for Coraline a while back, and Neil Gaiman tweeted about it, and I was like, oh my god, that's crazy. I'll just get last year I was just obsessively watching Impractical Jokers. And then one day I got a message from Murr, and he was like, dude, I just got to say, my girlfriend and I are watching your pitch meetings, and it's so funny. And I just sent a picture of my TV, and I'm watching him, and he's watching me. And so I was like, dude, do you want to be in a pitch meeting? And I got him in the Harley Quinn pitch meeting. So that's kind of cool. Sometimes I'll just text Murr when we're watching each other's stuff. Other than that, yeah, I don't know. I don't want to name drop too much or anything, but it's always cool to see a little someone whose stuff I've watched to be like, hey, good job. It's a little ego boost, a little validation. Yeah, that's it. or 8 years ago. Basically, like I have like another channel with my friends that we've had since like 2009, and we were in we were trying to develop bigger and better things like web series and stuff, or try to sell a TV show and stuff like that. But the problem with that is that it's a lot of just like behind the scenes work and paperwork and meetings and planning and stuff. And so I wasn't putting out anything into the world. I had like this void, and I was like, so I just like, I'd always been curious about stand-up. And so I did it for a couple of years. And then, I kind of stopped because it was just, I kind of looked into the future of what could happen with it. And there was no like upwards mobility unless I moved out of the city. Because there aren't that many comedy clubs here, and some of them are just French. And I was just doing English stand-up. And I would like, when I had a set, I would think about it all day. That's all I would think about. And like when I would have a break, I would rehearse. It was like very like, I need to know every single line. And then I would get like nervous, and I have a few drinks, and now I'm drunk on a Tuesday. And then you're like doing stand-up for like 10 drunk people that aren't really listening. And you're doing 5 minutes, and like half the audience is just the other comics, so they're not really listening. And so like, I kind of just looked at it like, what's the next step of this process? I couldn't really see, like, I totally respect the grind of people that do that. But for me, I was like, I know how to write sketches and I know how to make videos. So like, maybe my time is better spent just being at home and working on stuff. But I really enjoyed it, but it was just really like, it was really just a effort to outcome calculation. Yeah.
All right.
So that is weird hearing me talk normally. Hi there. Hello. There you go.
It's awesome people just bug out on their cameras.
I feel like the next pitch meeting I watch, I'm gonna be like, wait, like I'm gonna have to do a double take because that would be.
It's weird. It's weird for me to see myself talk in my own voice too.
Do you think you could give us a couple insider facts about you or your videos that wouldn't be so apparent just from being a casual fan who watches them?
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said before, I'm sitting. There's been kind of like, some people are like, yeah, I figured you were sitting, but other people are like, no, obviously you're standing. So that's one thing. I'm usually in sweatpants or pajama pants. So that's just know that I'm sitting in my basement in pajamas from the waist down. Other than that, like, insight is like, I don't know. It's just, it's literally just me in my basement. I'm sure you can hear my cat meowing in the background sometimes if you listen closely. And I don't know, I'm like literally sitting next to like a rack of different suit jackets, and I have a drawer full of different glasses and mustaches, and that's kind of like my basement setup.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of how you use the mustaches as a prop.
On top of the mustache, I gotta differentiate somehow, you know.
I know you're just talking about like the first guy who, like, whatever those skits, like I love those, but I like, it happens to be that Jared and I are obsessed with like the naming like fruit and the naming tool ones. Like those are so fun.
I'm glad you like those. Those are, they're fun, but those ones I'm like, okay, God, what is this character gonna wear now? Just like,
also like, I like,
so
like their name, or like, oh, like pine, like what do you mean pine? Like pine apple, like, it's funny.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I'm thinking of like turning that into another series because people seem to like those ones.
Yeah, those are like those teams. Like what are the Knicks? Like I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah, exactly. I think I'll do like animals probably and stuff like that. Anything.
Yeah.
I think the thing that surprised me the most about like all your cool YouTube sets is how tall you are. I mean, because you're always, I wouldn't like your height all of that. You're 6 feet tall.
Yeah.
That's. I mean, I guess I would never have thought of any height because I always see you sitting.
Yeah, it's very strange to see people in real life when you only see them on a screen. It's like, oh, like I did a collab with Julie Nolke. I don't know if you guys are familiar with her.
And the wedding and divorce videos.
Yeah, exactly. And it was so strange. We saw each other. We're both just like, you're from the internet. It was just really weird. And she's like, like I'm used to just seeing her videos on my screen, but like she's like a lot shorter than me, so I was like, oh hi, like, it was really strange. It's such a weird thing. Like I'm sure, yeah, if anyone met me in real life, they'd be like, oh, this is all wrong. I could see your legs. And like I know, like I don't talk like the characters, which is like a little safety net for me. But I know it's strange for everyone right now to hear me just talking. I get it. I totally get it.
So this one's from Ephraim Crystal. You kind of touched on this, but like, has the pandemic affected your career, like YouTube career, in any surprising ways?
I was pretty fortunate in a weird way, because there was like that weird adjustment period about a year ago where everyone in the entertainment industry was trying to figure out how to make videos by themselves at home. And I was like, I've been doing that. So I was able to just kind of like, I feel like everyone kind of skipped the beat, I just didn't stop. And so, and it also, like, I think everyone was kind of at home and watching more YouTube, and I was kind of like reacting to the crazy stuff that was happening last year and this year. So it was definitely like, yeah, I saw like my channel grew last year because I was making stuff and I was reacting to the world and giving people an outlet, I guess, to be like, yeah, this stuff is crazy. Yeah. And yeah, I can't travel anywhere, so I'm lucky that I work from home, and it hasn't affected that at all. Yeah.
What was the last time that you were in the States?
I think I was there November 2019. Yeah, I think I had a couple of weeks in LA in late 2019 for like general meetings and whatnot. Then I was supposed to go to New York like last summer. That didn't happen, obviously. And yeah, I'd love to. My girlfriend and I love going to New York. Like we go almost every year. So hopefully we see New York in movies and we're just like, oh, can't wait to go back. Yeah. One day.
The next question is from Sam. Who is your favorite YouTuber?
I don't watch a ton of YouTube. I'm a bad YouTuber in that way, but
Ironic.
Yeah, I always watch Video Game Donkey. Whatever he does, he's always funny. Gus Johnson is really good, and yeah, I really like old YouTube channels that they don't make YouTube videos anymore. They've all kind of moved on, like Derek Comedy. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Derek Comedy. It was like Donald Glover's sketch comedy channel back in the day. Britannic, Good Neighbor. All these people have been like hired elsewhere, so they're not doing YouTube anymore. But yeah, I love like sketch comedy on YouTube. There's not a ton of it, but yeah.
Here's a question.
Dying breed.
Here's a question from Ben Spanger. He wants to know, on a scale from worst to best, how do you rank these series? So you have Harry Potter, the MCU, Star Wars, the DCEU, Avatar: The Last Airbender, Lord of the Rings, the Alzheimer Cinematic Universe, and the Rhineverse.
The Alzheimer Cinematic Universe. really have. I know that's like a meme now that like millennials are like, oh, I'm a Gryffindor or whatever. But I'm like, when Harry Potter was 11, I was 11. So I really like grew up with.
Were you books first guy?
Sorry?
You were books first guy?
Yeah. I remember like waiting for those books to come out. Like I remember like when they weren't all out yet, and seeing like the movies every year. I like I remember like a newspaper article being like they're looking for who's gonna play Harry Potter, and I was like I could do it. I could make a British accent. I wrote a letter, and I was like I'm not British, but I hope that doesn't matter. I never sent it because I didn't know where to send it. But I was obsessed. So yeah, probably that.
Harry Potter World and Universal.
Have I done that?
Yeah, like Harry Potter.
I actually haven't.
Put that on your bucket list.
Yeah,
Amazing. It's really cool.
Yeah, my girlfriend went. She bought me a mug. But I feel like that's not the full experience. Probably. Yeah. Probably more to it.
You get butterbeer, right?
I didn't get that, but I will.
You could get it there.
Yeah, I promise I will.
Do everything there. Yeah, I mean they're really like immersive.
Buy sticks for a couple $100.
Yeah, I'll definitely waste some money there for sure. Just throw it away. But yeah, the other cinematic universes, they're all good in their own right. Ryan George Cinematic Universe is probably the worst. It's a terrible place. It's awful. Not a lot of diversity, first of all.
What do you mean? Some people have mustaches. Some people have 2 mustaches.
That's true. That's a good point.
There's a guy who licks pickles.
Yeah, little pickle licking guy for sure. Yeah.
So speaking of the Ryan Cinematic Universe, how did you find so many actors to star in the videos that look just like you?
It was super easy. I don't know how to answer that. There's somebody made a video called The Ryan George Conspiracy on YouTube. I think the channel's called The James Theory, and he made this whole conspiracy that I'm like a cloning experiment gone wrong. I thought that was pretty funny. I feel like that'll be my answer. Just watch that guy's video, and he pretty much explains it.
Have you ever seen the movie The Prestige?
I haven't actually, but I know the
Yeah,
twist.
I was gonna say you're kind of pulling up the ending of the movie over there with your conspiracy theories. I don't want to ruin it for anybody, but I feel like I just did. But whatever.
I ruined it for me. I was just rewatching it, and like they referenced it apparently.
It's a great movie. It's a Christian Bale and Hugh Jackman, I think.
Is that Christopher Nolan? That movie? Or am I thinking The Illusionist? There were 2 magician movies.
It is Christopher Nolan.
It is.
So, thank you.
On your bio, it says that you're part of the comedy trio, The Moving Mind Studio. What is that, and who else is in it?
Yeah, so that's the YouTube channel that I started with my friends in like 2009. And yeah, it just started with like a childhood friend of mine. We were just making videos, and we added a third friend of ours. They're Sam Brisson and Brandon Calder. And it's a YouTube channel. We did sketch comedy for years, and then we kind of we still do things for YouTube here and there, but it really, sorry, my camera's bouncing. We really in recent years, we've been trying to get beyond YouTube things made. So in 2016 or 2017, we did a web series for the Just for Laughs Festival, explaining to an alien. And then in 2017, we got picked up by Kevin Hart to do a show called Campus Law on his streaming service, Laugh Out Loud. And now we're just kind of working on developing things and trying to pitch the next thing. And we were going to do a new season of Explaining to an Alien last year, but then the pandemic happened. So it's kind of on ice. But yeah, they're just my good friends and video partners, and we're still working on things in the background. It's kind of like what I described earlier. It's we're always working on stuff, but it's just you don't see it because you got to convince people to give you money to make things. So nothing, it's hard to do. People don't like giving away their money.
Similar to your Alien series, you also have that series, It's the 90s. So
yeah,
it's kind of a similar idea, and those ones are hilarious. Just all the bits in there.
Oh,
So
thank
it
you.
brings me into the question, like, you have some running gags, for instance, and now when you keep mentioning that the host is going to die in 2004, what are some gags you like constantly run through, and how did those get started up?
It's kind of similar to the catchphrase thing, where I kind of see how people react to things, and if there's like a big reaction in the comments for a certain thing, then like it's a good sign that if I bring that back, people will know what I'm talking about. And oftentimes I'll just kind of like, if I'm making a background for a video and I need to, change a sign to something, usually I'll just like write a catchphrase or something that's come up before. So people, like, personally, I love seeing Easter eggs in things. So if it takes me like an extra 10 minutes to have someone make that connection to an older video, then like I'll do it. I made a mistake recently though. The first guy to wear contact lenses, I made this, like, I say hi there, hello all the time. Like, that's every character says hi there, hello. And so I changed, there's like, that sign at the optometrist with like the letters that you're supposed to like make out the word. So I was like, I'll put hi there, hello on that. Like, I'll put that in there. So I followed like the way the thing is structured, like H-I-T, blah, blah, blah. And then I published a video without thinking, and everyone's like, why does that sign say hit her? And like, the letters got too small and you couldn't see the rest, but it just said hit her. And they're like, what is this like abuse joke you're making? I'm like, no. So I gotta be careful with my Easter eggs, because like I didn't even cross my mind that could be misinterpreted. So yeah, that was pretty bad. If you go on that video, my pinned comment is like, it says hi there, hello, okay? It does not say hit her. Please don't get mad. Someone said at the beginning of the abuse cinematic here. Oh god. But yeah, it's definitely intentional. Yeah, I love referencing older videos, just so people can be like, he said the thing. It's fun to see someone say the thing.
Definitely. Okay, so the next question is totally out of left field, but me and Zach, everybody that we interview, we have to ask this question to. So I don't know if you follow basketball or not, but who do you feel is the greatest of all time, Michael Jordan or LeBron James?
Oh man, Michael Jordan. I don't know anything, so like I literally know nothing about basketball. I saw my first basketball game like 2 years ago. Was it the right answer?
It was the right answer.
Yeah, oh, great. I feel like this is another Endgame versus Infinity War. There are, like, half the people are mad at me now.
I think people freak out over the Michael versus LeBron thing. I love more than, I don't know, it's all over. I don't know, it's everywhere. I think that one's a little bit of a simpler answer.
I saw Josh just held up you can see the hit her sign there.
Josh is a huge fan of the hi there, hellos. I see in all of his questions, he's like, every single one of them opens up with, hi there, hello.
I'm glad. It's fun to say.
I actually kind of want to, Josh, you want to ask I'll add Josh to this quickly. Josh, you want to ask your question?
I would love to. First of all, hi there, hello.
Hi there, hello.
So obviously, like, all the pitches are my favorite. I mostly watch your private channel more than the Screen Rant ones. And cool. My favorite like recurring things are like, I'd say number one is the astronaut. So I'm really curious, like, the first time you got a sponsorship and you did the astronaut, was the company just like, what the hell was that? Or how did they react to the first time you did that?
I honestly, for a long time, I had no interest in doing ads, because like, I even have like an old sketch where I make fun of ads because they're always so awkward. It's always like a guy's talking about the thing you clicked on the video for, and then he's like, but first, let's talk about this company. And then he reads a script and it's awful. So I was like, okay, I'll do ads if, number one, I can put them at the end of the video so people don't have to watch them if they don't want to. And number two, I can like do something weird with it. And so, yeah, I think I forget what my first ad was, but I was just like, listen, can I do a weird astronaut thing? And they're like, if you hit all of the talking points you need to hit, yeah. I was like, okay, cool. And it just like, ever since then, anytime like I just show an old video, or like now my manager does, because I don't have to deal with those companies myself. Thank God. Yeah, he's just like, sometimes they're like, no, you gotta put the ad at the beginning, and I'm like, no, I'm not gonna do an ad. If you want me to not do the astronaut, I'm not gonna do an ad for your company. It's I don't know. Like, people really like the astronaut now, so I'm like, oh, if a company doesn't get that, then I'm not gonna advertise their product, which is fine.
I'm almost disappointed to click on a video and there's no like more about them at the end of the sketch. It's like a 2-minute pitch meeting about like what should we call fruits.
Damn it! I don't know what's going on with the astronaut. That's fun. I'm really glad that I was very, very nervous when I started doing ads, because I really felt like nobody wants to see these. But I just like put as much effort as I would into a sketch, and if people want to stick around, then like at least hopefully they will be entertained, and it's not just me like, it's not like on the radio when they cut away to commercials and you have to sit there. I just reference the radio. God, I'm so old. It's not like a YouTube mid-roll ad. I don't know why I said the radio. What the hell's wrong with me? Yeah.
Okay, so the next question is from AJ Book. He wants to know what your favorite movie and TV show are. I feel like we talked a little bit about the movies with Harry Potter, but was Game of Thrones your favorite TV show up until they, destroyed it?
My favorite TV show is, I'd say it's The Office. Very common answer.
Oh, but yeah. Okay.
Yeah, like literally, like I used to like put the DVDs on when I would fall asleep and just like wake up to the looping menu music. It's I loved The Office. I loved Parks and Rec, and those are pretty much like my 2 all-time favorite shows.
What's your favorite Office scene? That's
a huge question. Oh my God, I'm not ready for that. Oh my God, I need some time. I can't even, off the top of my head, I can't. And it's just silent.
I think
everybody's like, when he's talking to Idris Elba, and he's like, tell me something you've never told anyone before. Like, where did you work before? What's your wife's name? And he's like, Satakoy Steele. And she's like, that's a beautiful name. You know, African Americans have such a history of. And he's like, that's where I worked. It's so good.
Zach, you were just telling me about that scene last week with when Michael leaves.
Yeah, it was so funny.
It's so good. Yeah.
Also, like, it's great how like he like convinced them that like he was doing well, so they bought him out, and then they like gave him back his job. Whatever. It was great.
Yeah, it's so great. You're so proud of him. Like when he stands up for himself in that meeting, and he's like telling David Wallace, like, I just have to outweigh you. I'm like, yes. Like little snippets of like, oh, Michael's actually smart.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Like when he was in the bar and like with Janice and like with that other guy, and like he like convinced him to, like after like 5 hours of just like hawking him up, just like got him to
like so good. Yeah, favorite show for sure.
Definitely up there for me too. Now, you mentioned before that when you need to do a pitch meeting, you'll watch a bunch of different reviews. So there are some other channels that also put out similar types of videos. For instance, there's Honest Trailers, How It Should Have Ended, and CinemaSins. Do you watch any of their videos as well, and what do you think of those channels?
Yeah, I watch those channels. I mostly like, if I'm doing a movie that they've already done before, I don't want to repeat the same jokes. So like I'll go through and be like, okay, yeah, I was gonna say that, but I'm not gonna say that, or I'll find a different way to say it. But yeah, those channels are great, and they're very good at finding like funny flaws and stuff. Yeah, and they've been around for a long time. And they do it very well.
For the newer movies, I think you released the pitch meeting a lot faster than How It Should Have Ended and the honest trailer. So I think maybe for the movies that, like, let's say 300 you just did, so that already would exist. But like when you release, like, let's say the Marvel movies or whatever, you're releasing them faster than they are. So
yeah,
so you know.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they watch pitch meeting when they're doing theirs now and do the same thing. But yeah, that's the advantage of like, I know Honest Trailers has like writers and editors and stuff. I don't really know the CinemaSins process, but I know he has to wait for movies to be available for him to be able to edit.
It goes through the whole film on screen.
Yeah. So that's definitely an advantage of me just like talking to myself, is that like I could see the movie when it comes out on Thursday and then just work nonstop till like Saturday late afternoon and then have the video up on Sunday, because I I do all my own research, I write it all myself, I shoot it myself, and I edit myself. So I just have to not sleep and I can get it done. It's not
just do it, just
no
sleep.
Sleep deprivation. I'll sleep on Monday. It's fine.
Well, you could. What do you mean? You could stay at a hotel, if you don't get any sleep.
Yeah,
maybe your house burned down.
Now that those exist.
Thank God for that. Hotels exist now.
Yeah.
Last week.
Yeah, it's great. I've been missing those here.
So I was gonna ask for you to, if you'd be willing to like subscribe to my YouTube channel. But then you mentioned you had LinkedIn, so like now I just connect. I sent a LinkedIn request. Would you be able to like connect with me on LinkedIn after this?
Sure, I could connect with you on LinkedIn. Are you on LinkedIn a lot?
I mean, a little bit. I'm looking for a
link.
Oh, okay. I'll connect with you right now. Oh, you actually sent it, yeah. Yeah, I accepted it. There you go. We're connected.
I didn't think you would have LinkedIn. I mean, I was going to ask YouTube because I have like 540 subscribers, and if I get another like 400 more, YouTube starts to pay. But whatever, it's all good.
I can subscribe to you.
Oh wait, yes. All right, I'll post it.
I sent you a message on LinkedIn also. There we go.
Perfect. So I guess I'll post in the chat. Also, people watching, if you want to subscribe, help the cause, would be great. I guess like this has been so much fun, and obviously we could keep going for hours if you wanted, but no pressure. But like, I guess to wrap up, if you have any advice you'd like to give to the audience or people wanting to bolster their YouTube channel, like on or life advice, like just any closing thoughts / advice.
I mean, yeah, I don't know what everyone's goals are. Just general advice.
Like maybe during COVID, like staying fun, positive. I don't know.
Shoot for the stars. I guess to not like give cliche advice of like follow your dreams and work hard and stuff. One thing that I feel has helped me over the past couple of years is like I read a book by Tim Ferriss called Tools of Titans, and there was like a part in there that mentioned this thing called morning pages, which I don't know if anyone's heard of that, but it's basically like in the morning you just like brain vomit onto like a paper. You just like freehand write for 3 pages, and it like really helps your creativity. And I feel like if I look at a turning point of when things started improving for me creatively is when I started doing that. So like look up morning pages and see if it's something that you're interested in. But like honestly, it's just like freehand journaling in the morning just like really clears your brain for whatever you want to do that day. And it also helps you just like get into the habit of getting your thoughts out of your head, which is super important for creativity. Just like you don't keep things inside as much. You don't like bundle them up. So that's like a practical thing that I would say. Like look into that if you're interested. I do that. I've been doing that every day for like 3 years probably. That's very helpful. Other than that, like life advice, I mean, just like find what you like to do and do it. I don't know. Just like, don't I've been doing, like I said, I've been doing YouTube for like since I was since YouTube existed, and I've only found like success over the past couple of years. So just like do things for the right reasons, you know, like if you're like trying something and you don't succeed right away and that's a huge problem for you, you're probably not doing it for the right reasons. Like if there's a glitch and YouTube was like, oh, you weren't supposed to get those subscribers and they go down to like 10 tomorrow, I'm still going to want to make comedy videos. So that's how I know that I'm doing what I want to be doing. So yeah. So I guess that's my advice. You can ask more questions if you have other questions. I don't, it's up to you.
I was just gonna ask, like, what makes you, like, when you come up when you like create other Ryans, like, what goes into your thought process and like, I'm gonna make a different Ryan look different? Like,
it's honestly like I'll usually make like kind of a table of who's wearing what, and I just try to make sure that it's different enough, and that like okay, this guy has glasses and hats, this guy is mustache and blazer. It's literally I'm just making sure that I'm not like overlapping the same props, and unless there's something specific that's needed for the scene, or if it's like one of those things where there's a bunch of characters. In that case, I'm just like I'm gonna use everything I own, and just do that. So that's pretty much it.
We have another question from Avram Kamenker. So you said before that Harry Potter is your favorite movie series. If so, are there any more pitch meetings for Harry Potter movies in the works?
I might get around to that. That has been a question. I did like a pitch meeting for the Harry Potter franchise as a whole. So I would have to like switch gears and do like 8 specific episodes for every. I'd have to try to not repeat the jokes that I made in that one video. So I don't know. Yeah, I might get around to it one day if I like run out of movies to do, or if there's like a new Fantastic Beasts coming out, I want to lead up to it. Possibly, yeah, maybe. Yeah.
This is from Rebecca. I think this is an important question. Do you have a specific Hogwarts house?
I'd like to say Gryffindor, but probably Hufflepuff. If I'm being honest, they're probably Hufflepuff.
To be said, I agree.
Everyone wants. Yeah, I'll die in the 4th movie. It's fine.
No, then he goes back to life in 8, so it's okay.
Yeah, then he was like a vampire and stuff. Now he's Batman, so I'll be Cedric Diggory for sure. Yeah.
I know this is probably like an obvious answer, but have you watched every movie and TV show of every pitch meeting you've done?
Yeah, except I haven't watched like all of Seinfeld and I haven't watched all of The Big Bang Theory, but yeah, that's pretty much I watch it at least once. That's part of that's why I don't do many pitch meetings for TV shows, is because I have to watch the entire show, unless it's like something that I get the gist, like Big Bang or Seinfeld, you know. Yeah. So. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Fine. So I guess we'll wrap it up here. Thanks so much, Ryan, for coming. This was so fun.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. That was a lot of fun. Really. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for listening to me talk about myself. Bye.
Yeah. Have a good night.